Hi guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. OJ, we've gone through 52 days of a trial so far. That's a lot for this channel. This is a record. 52 days of one trial. And we're not near the end. It's not like this is going to end next week. No, no. We got months and months and months to go. We're just waiting for Furman though, right? I think he comes on in March. I'm disappearing. There we go. I think he comes on in March, and we are on February 9th. So we just got to get through this part to get to it.
All right, back on the record in the Simpson matter, the defendants again present and encourage you to dress comfortably since it'll be a rather long day. All right, you're the best dressed jury I've seen in a long time. So let's see what kind of casual clothes you have. All right, let's reconvene at 3:45. All right, and officer, you can step down. You're ordered to come back half hour. All right, back on the record in the Simpson matter, the defendant's again present with his counsel. People are represented. The witness, Mr. Risky, is on the stand right now. The jury is not present. Mr. Cochran, you indicated you wanted to...
Since we're going to be quick, so let me redo it after the end of the day. I'll have enough questions to go forward.
Okay.
So let's use the rest of our time.
Okay. Officer Risky, are you a P2? P2. Probably the longest day of your life. All right, let's have the jury, please.
The seal is a little bit more entertaining than risky. We'll just watch the seal.
Officer Robert Risky is still on the witness stand, still under oath. And Mr. Cochran, you may continue with your cross-examination.
Thank you very kindly. May I approach again?
You may.
Just when we broke Officer Risky, I asked you about the shared movement of the envelope, and I now wanted to ask you, if I could, to look at Exhibit 56. And I want to show you on Exhibit 56 two photographs side by side, Your Honor. These aren't otherwise numbered, but if they were, should I make them A through whatever?
Yes.
G and H.
All right.
Of Exhibit 56. I want you to step down if you can, and block me. That is, and I want you to look at the glove under this foliage here, this plant. Can you see it from there?
Yes, sir.
The laser?
Yes, sir.
If you'll notice, the
We can't see it, but we remember what it looks like.
fingers of the glove are pointed toward a tennis shoe. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
And do you notice that the V part of the glove is almost up against the walkway there? Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
I'm indicating that. I'm going to make sure everybody can see that. Do you see?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Now I want you to now shift your attention over to this next exhibit where there's a 102 marked herein. Can you see where the V part of the glove is now pointing in another direction,
Yes, sir.
and that the fingers of the glove are now pointed in a different direction also?
Yes,
The glove
sir.
has been moved? You see that?
Yes, sir.
Were you there when this happened?
No, I wasn't.
Now, one of the things that you tried to do at this scene was to preserve it so that evidence was not moved. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
All right,
Your
Mr.
Honor,
Cochran.
yeah, I'd
I'm
like
sorry.
to show it to the other two.
I was about to suggest that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
I'd have some help. I have some, well, I have some help from these two lawyers. Appreciate it.
Well, that's damning.
I think we're just working with one of these right now. I think we're just working with one of these right now. Well, let's let the jury down at the short end down here take a look. You may.
Excuse me. Now, Officer Risky, first of all, with regard to the envelope that we talked about first, with regard to the envelope, and this photograph here on, is that 56? People's 56 in identification. You see, Officer Risky, as I pointed out, you see the grouting there and the envelope?
Yes, sir, I do.
Location? The envelope is beyond the grouting?
Yes, sir.
See that? Now, Mr. Douglas, can you put that down just a second? I want to show him the other envelope, the other photograph. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, we now have exhibits 56 and 54. What we're trying to demonstrate. You see the grouting, Officer Risky, on this, where the grouting is there in the envelope? You see that?
Yes, sir.
And up here, you see where the grouting is in the envelope?
Yes, sir.
You can see it's been moved in those two pictures, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, from 56 to 54. All right, let's move now, gentlemen, to the 56 in regard to the glove, the location of the glove. For the record, Madam Reporter, we're referring now to People's 56 for identification. Now, Officer Risky, with regard to the glove here in what is now 56G. You see the V part of the glove there?
Yes, sir, I
Up
do.
against the walkway there?
Yes.
You see the fingers of the glove pointing toward the shoes there, tennis?
Yes.
And if you look to the right at 56H, see the V part of the glove is pointing in a different direction, the fingers are pointing in a different direction?
Yes.
And in this photograph, 56G, is there also a cap somewhere under this foliage?
Yes, sir.
It's hidden by pretty much by the foliage there.
It'll be right here.
Now, so that we're clear, did I say that?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John. You may thank you very much, sir. I believe that you told us earlier that you were present when Detective Furman returned from Rockingham. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Although you couldn't tell us the exact time that he got back, it was your belief that he'd been away and had gone to Rockingham for about an hour, and that he returned somewhere perhaps after 6:30. Is that a fair
That's
statement?
correct.
And that the photograph of Furman with nothing on his shoes, but with his shoes in the area where Mr. Goldman's body was found, was taken after he returned back from Rockingham. Is that right?
Right.
And it's clear, is it not, and you recall, do you not, that the coroner, the L.A. County Coroner's Office, had not arrived at that scene by the time that you left at 7:15. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
So when you left that morning, both of the bodies were still in their same relative positions. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
If you know, sir, had the coroner's office been called at all by the time that you left?
I have no idea.
You have no knowledge of all of that? But you know the bodies were still there.
Yes.
So that the pictures which I've just shown you, where the evidence apparently has been moved, while you were there at least, did you see the photographer taking any of these pictures?
No, I didn't. I saw him take a picture of Furman. That's it.
All right, now the picture of Furman was in the same general area, was it not?
That's correct.
And so at this point, the photographer was no longer in the back. He was now up in the front part of the location, right?
That's correct.
Did he continue to shoot pictures after that?
I saw him take a picture of Mark Furman. That's the only one I saw, besides the rear.
Did you continue to watch the photographer after that?
Yes.
And did you watch him until you left, or did you go and do something else?
I stayed in the front of the crime scene the whole time until I left.
All right. Now, when you were outside in the crime scene and outside in your car writing your report, you weren't watching the photographer at that point, were you?
I wrote my report in the rear.
In the rear of what?
The rear of in the alley.
In other words, the report that I read to you earlier,
That's correct.
you read that in the rear at 5:15?
I wrote that in the rear, yes.
All right. When you were back in the front, you weren't at all times watching the photographer, were you, as he took these pictures?
No.
In other words, he was doing his job, you were doing your job.
No, he wasn't taking photos. He didn't take these pictures when I was there.
Okay, he took these pictures later?
I would assume he didn't take them when I was there.
All right, well, you see the pictures now, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't see them taken when you were there.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Now,
Hi, Angela. I hope your breakfast is delicious.
you described for us that at one point, sir, as part of your duties there, you searched in and around the alleyway from Dorothy, I think, to Bundy, to Gorham. Do you call that?
Yes.
And what were you searching for?
Anything, any other evidence we might find?
Were you searching for bloody clothes?
Bloody clothes, a bloody handprint on a trash can, maybe evidence in a trash can, additional blood drops,
Searching for knives?
anything.
Your search, were you searching by yourself or in company with some other officer?
I was alone.
And who had directed you to do this search?
Nobody.
And as you searched, how long did you search, sir?
10 minutes, maybe.
And during the time that you searched, did you ever find any bloody clothes or a knife or anything of that nature at all?
No, I didn't.
Were any of the other officers who you previously told us who were at the scene that morning, were any of them searching, if you recall?
I know they were knocking on doors, talking to neighbors, but if they were searching, I have no knowledge.
You don't know whether they were searching or not?
No.
All right, but you saw a number of officers fanning out in the area. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Now, when the four detectives left Bundy and went to Rockingham, they all go together?
I didn't see them leave. I don't know how they went.
All right, you knew at some point they had left, but you don't know how they
That's
left,
correct.
right? You know why all four of them went over there?
Pardon me?
You know why all four of them went over there?
No, I don't.
It's true, is it not, that once Van Adder and Lang were assigned to this case, Furman and Phillips were off the case, right?
Meaning, off
As the
case.
detectives on the case.
They could be the assisting detectives. They just weren't in charge.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you know that for a fact?
No.
All right. So, as an officer of some 4 years' experience, had you ever been at a scene where robbery homicide detectives came and took over?
That depends on what you mean. I've handled cases where the K car, which works for robbery homicide, comes out and takes a report.
Now, I'm talking about a situation where, because of the nature of the case, robbery homicide detectives are assigned to the case, and the detectives who are on the case are then taken off. We had that situation before?
No.
And when you talked to Detective Furman, when the two of you were talking, and you were advised that robbery homicide was taking over the case from Phillips and Furman, remember that conversation?
Yes.
Was Furman disappointed because he's being relieved by Van Adder and Lang?
He didn't tell me he was disappointed, no.
What did he tell you about that? Did he tell you they were just relieving him?
Yeah, they just said robbery homicide was on the way to take over.
All right. Now, if robbery homicide arrived then sometime after 4 o'clock to take over, do you know why it was then that all four of the detectives then went over to Rockingham?
No.
Okay. And if robbery homicide had taken over at 4, do you know why it was that Furman returned back to the address there at Bundy after 6:30 and was participating in taking pictures? Do you know why that
No, I
was? When Furman came back to Bundy, was he accompanied by his partner also, Detective Phillips?
Yes.
Was he there also when he came back?
He was in the street.
All right. And did you give him the phone back at that point?
Yes, I did.
By the way, with regard to your testimony here, have you watched television at all in connection with this case before today?
Well, you can't really help it. It's always on.
It's always on, isn't it? Were you told that you were not supposed to watch television?
No.
The DH didn't tell you, the judge had ordered all witnesses not to watch television? They didn't tell you that?
Not that I recall, no.
So you've been watching this, and without them telling you that, And did you hear the testimony of Pablo Finvez with regard to the color of that Jeep?
No.
Did you see his testimony?
No, I didn't.
You still believe that Jeep is dark green?
I believe it was dark green.
You've never heard anybody when you're watching television say that, have you?
No.
But what part of this proceedings have you been watching on television?
Of this trial?
Yes, of this trial. Sir.
None of this trial. I saw the prelim.
And you've not been watching since that time?
No.
You just said it was always on television. What have you seen?
Just you turn on a channel and it's on. You change the channel.
Well, if you change the channel, you turn to another channel that has it on, don't you?
Yeah, but you just keep changing the channel.
Keep doing what?
You just keep changing the channel. There's more than one channel, sir.
No, I hope so. But when you turn from one channel to the other, what have you seen in connection with this case, in this trial? Because you weren't aware of the court's order. That's the question.
I don't recall seeing anything on this case. On the trial, I saw
None
the
of the
prelim.
testimony? None of the testimony?
No.
Now, when the four detectives went over to Rockingham, do you know whether or not the photographer went with them?
I don't know.
Did you see him during the time when you didn't see the four detectives?
I believe he was still at Bundy.
You think he's still Bundy?
Yes, sir.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at the log at all?
Well, I didn't write the log again, so
So would that refresh your recollection or not?
I didn't write the log. I don't know.
All right. Well, what did you see him doing if you believe he was there during the time they were away?
Standing by a car, talking to somebody else.
And it's your belief he did not go to Rockingham, right? Is that what you're telling us?
I believe he stayed. I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
Well, I believe he stayed at Bundy.
Now, this blood that you described toward the rear gate, the rear gate of that property, could you see that with the naked eye, or did you see that with the use of a flashlight?
Flashlight.
And did you and your partner both see it, or did you see it first?
I saw the blood on the interior. He saw the blood on the exterior.
And did you tell the detectives, Lang and Vanner, about this?
I showed it to Furman and Phillips. I don't know if they told him or not.
You showed it to Furman and Phillips.
That's correct.
You did not show it to Lang and Van Adder?
No.
And you felt that was important evidence, did you not?
Yes.
With regard to any or either of these fences, did you ever have occasion to close either the front gate that we've previously seen or this rear gate?
No, I didn't.
So you don't know the sound that those gates might make when they're closed?
No.
You didn't test those at all?
No.
Now, may I ask you this, with regard to how that front gate is open, while you were there, did you or any of the officers conduct any kind of an experiment to see how that works?
No.
How you get in the front gate?
No.
You didn't do that?
Mm-mm.
While you were there, did the fingerprint dusters or the technicians who do that, did they come to the scene at all?
No.
And while you were there, you continued as best you could to try and preserve that crime scene without moving evidence, right?
That's correct.
Or stepping in blood. Is that right?
That's correct.
You did not return to that scene again in any official capacity after you left at 7:15 or 7:20 on the morning of June 13th, 1994. Is that correct?
Not while it was still a crime scene, no.
Were you aware that at some point that crime scene was hosed down? Do you know what time and what day that was done?
No.
You don't know?
No, I don't.
You don't know what date it was no longer designated a crime scene, do you?
Hi,
No.
Lori Love.
All right, Your Honor, perhaps this might be an appropriate place. I'm not finished.
If you want to approach, please.
Sure.
reflect all the jurors have withdrawn from the courtroom. Mr. Cochran, what do you have to show us?
Your Honor, I've asked Mr. Harris to punch this in. It's not, he's doing it manually because it's difficult to bring up. But some exhibits that I'd like to show this particular officer, so can we get it straight down? Sheriff?
We should all send Donald a bunch of broken snow blowers. He would have so much fun fixing them all.
That demonstrates the movement of the envelope graphically. Show the first one again, Mr. Searching. That's not the one.
That's fine.
Just keep on. She'll have objection to it now. Laugh at that one. That one shows.
All right, I will.
That's the next frame after this. All right, is it possible to take out the still and search writing on that?
That's what comes up and you have to do it manually, unfortunately. I can do it while you're looking at it.
Can you back up here and I want to...
When you print this, does it come up with the?
You show this test, so
I'm sorry.
part of the problem is that the defense is running off their laser disc. Their laser disc is not hooked up to this particular printer. They use a different system. So I cannot make a print copy of this particular photo. It's the same system, we just not hooked up.
We use their disk now?
The problem is that I think one way to find out is to try.
Can you back up one quick, please? I want to see the cap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do the one on the cap as well.
there a focus on this?
That's a print from the Alma. Clear. Okay. See if I can get a photo print of this. Now, I'll attempt to print, but I do believe that it will show the search code on it because it's a direct video capture.
Maria, thank you so much for the PayPal. I really, really, really appreciated it. I just bought a couple shirts from you. Thank you so much. They're really pretty. I can't wait till they get here. Thank you so much, Maria.
All right, is this a laser disc, the defense laser disc, Mr. Harris?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Gretlow, what does it show?
This particular copy shows the search, but we think we might have found a way to print
Wasn't
without
it
the
was
search
not
code
you?
across it, which we shall see in a moment.
It was Martha. My bad. I'm sorry. I got Maria and Martha mixed up in my head. I'll thank Martha tomorrow. Unless Martha's watching OJ, but I will still thank Martha tomorrow.
Well, we're trying to view this.
Maria sells seashells by the seashore.
Your Honor, this print was printed without the search code across it, so it is a clear print.
All right.
Shall I see these?
No, I'll take your word for it.
Sure.
All right, let's proceed then. I take it, Mr. Cochran, you're going to show two different frames, hopefully print outable without the search code showing apparent moving of the envelope and the glove, correct?
That's a lecture. We have this book.
Those four frames.
We have four?
Five.
I think we got the gloves, not the envelope.
Yes, we only printed the book.
All right, Mr. Cochran, that's how you propose to proceed?
Oh, Your Honor, I only have one. I need a second one of the gloves. Let me talk to Jonathan, man.
Oh gosh, Lori. It sucks. It just sucks. Go rest more.
Steve.
I just think if I wanted to show some pictures to a jury in a murder trial where a man's life is on the line, I would have both pictures ready.
6386.
Because what he is, this is the same thing that Mr. Cochran's been doing throughout this trial. This is another distortion. This is another deception. Because what he is trying to show this jury is that there was some nefarious, sinister agency at work here in moving the evidence. In fact, that is totally false. What you can tell if you look in the photographs where he claims evidence was moved is that there were photo number tags and the bodies had been removed. As Mr. Cochran has elicited in cross-examination himself, it is a very tight space. And when Mr. Goldman's body had to be moved, it is natural that some of the evidence around the body, which was closely located to the body, like the glove, which we can tell in the photographs where, as a matter of fact, can you pull that up, please? The photograph in which, before Mr. Goldman's body has been moved, you can see that the toe of his boot is right near the glove. As you can see in this photograph, Your Honor, where the numbered tag appears, the boot is no longer there, and that's because the bodies have been removed. In the movement of the bodies, obviously, some evidence was disturbed, and that's why they take the photographs before and after. And Mr. Cochran is deliberately trying to mislead and confuse this jury and cause prejudice in the minds of this jury by not letting them know that what has actually transpired here is that the bodies were removed in between the time the first and the second photographs were taken.
Yes.
As usual, counsel has it all wrong. I asked this officer, her officer, whether or not you take pains not to have evidence moved. And that's the question that I asked him. Now, I asked him, and they can explain that all they want. The evidence, he told me no evidence was to be moved or ever moved. I'm not responsible for this crime scene. They are, Your Honor. If we have evidence in which, in one photograph, Your Honor, the glove is pointing with the V up against the walkway, and the other it's been turned and moved. The cap has also been moved. They haven't seen anything yet. And she's going to try to explain. She thinks she can explain everything away. By the end of this case, she will have offered so many explanations, I think she'll finally even be tired. And so that this doesn't work, Your Honor. She cannot explain everything, and everything is a misrepresentation. All I've done is shown a picture, Your Honor, of their crime scene. And that's, if they can't, first of all, they break the state law and call in the coroner out 10 hours later.
Wait, Mr. Cochran, that kind of apples and oranges is kind of a waste of my time,
I don't waste your time.
especially this late in the
All
day.
right, let me just say this.
But let me ask you a question. This particular witness is a P2 patrol officer who gets called to the scene. He's not the detective who's in charge of the crime scene. All this guy does is take a look-see, decide he's in over his head, and calls his supervisor. Secures the crime scene. Here he is. This is not the guy to explain how the photographs were taken or what's where. And he has already testified with regards to the people's exhibits that it appears to him these two items have already been moved.
That's correct.
So why do we need to go into this with this officer?
Primarily.
You've established that fact.
I did.
But for a P2 to testify to all of this stuff,
First of all, Your Honor knows she's a P2. This lawyer over here tried to make him seem like he was the most careful officer in the history of the LAPD, how he tipped around this scene. She went through it 15 times. So, Your
no,
Honor,
only 10 times.
well, 10 times, Your Honor. That's what it seemed. Well, I was off by 5. 10 times she went through it, made him like the greatest P2 ever. This jury doesn't know the difference between a P2 or whatever, Your Honor. She created this aura, because she always tries to do that, and now I'm going to show that the evidence was moved.
Here's the problem. This guy had nothing to do with taking these photographs, nothing to do with collecting the evidence, and nothing to do with the calling the coroner, nothing to do with setting up the photographs. He had nothing to do with anything.
Well, he did see the one photograph taken where Furman is in there. He said he was present when that was
He's
taken.
present for that one.
Right, he was present for that, and he said that the other things have been moved, and that's the point we're trying to make. I didn't make this evidence. If this evidence was moved, now she may try to justify it all we can.
Well,
but
Mr. Cochran, you've established that already with this witness using other exhibits. I think it's an undue use of the court's time with this witness.
All right, fine, I'll move on. I have some other things, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Well, we've taken the entire balance of the court. It's amazing how these things sort of wrap up right about at 4:30. All right, I'm going to invite the jurors to rejoin us. I'm going to sustain a 352 objection to those 4 photographs as to this witness. All right, let's have the jurors. Yeah, let me see counsel with that reporter, please. To reflect, we've been rejoined by all the
Good
members of
job,
our jury
Judge.
panel. Ladies
Good
and
job.
gentlemen, we had a minor technical snafu. If you know what a snafu is, it means situation, normal, all fouled up. At least that's the courtroom version of that acronym. And we were unable to produce certain documents from our magic machines here. It took us a little more time than I thought it would, so we've gotten to the end of the court day, and I'm going to take our recess at this time. Please remember my admonition to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Form any opinions about the case. Don't let anybody talk to you about it. Don't conduct any deliberations until the matter has been finally submitted to you.
Bye, jury.
Our future witnesses have been watching television. How prophetic. Now, it's very prophetic the way it turned out, wasn't it? However, Mr. Shapiro never did that. But here's what Marcia Clark had to say about that. That is false, and it is unfair, and is the kind of smear campaign tactics that we object to strenuously. That's what she said yesterday, so our witness gets on the stand and tells us he's watching television. We have refrained from that sort of thing. We would ask the court to order Mr. Shapiro not to make these false representations to the press for the purpose of engaging in further smear campaign tactics. The court, Mr. Shapiro, do you want to respond to that? Mr. Shapiro, he responded quite succinctly, Your Honor. Yes, total lie. And he goes on to say it's an absolute total lie. He then invited Ms. Clark and the district attorney's office, since they want to make all these charges, to bring some videotape where he was saying that. So far, they've not done it. Mr. Shapiro has asked me to ask you to have them bring the videotape, if they have that, when they make these kind of charges. Did it on his behalf, Your Honor.
Mr. Garden?
You know, I can't imagine why Mr. Cochran is wasting the court's time and my time bringing this issue before the court. Whatever was said on the record at sidebar yesterday, Your Honor, is between the, that was Ms. Clark's understanding. Mr. Shapiro says it's not true. Let me referee this one for you, okay? We apologize, Bob. We appreciate that. Okay? We apologize. Okay? And as for Mr. Cochran, we don't need you to tell us how to do our job. We attach to every subpoena the court's directions, okay? So if it happened to fall off this officer somewhere along the way, we apologize to the court for that. But the court will recall that the officer said that he saw the preliminary hearing, and that was, what, 6 months ago? I don't think the order applied to or was in effect 6 months ago. But we will be careful to make sure that the witnesses are aware of the court's order.
All right. All right. Thank you, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
We'll stand in recess.
Your Honor, please ask my question.
Sure.
A lot of time.
Field trip? I do not know what's going on. I think it's the field trip. So we do get to see some of the field trip. We're watching the field trip, guys. We can imagine being on that bus in LA. There is something in the background, but I can't really hear it. I don't know what they're saying. There's a Chips. You think that's Chips? Hi, Terry. It's a media show. Crazy.
Yeah, like there's going to be a change this morning. I go ahead. Well, I'm not going to vote for how to be a change. I know I'm not even going to ask you because I'm opposed to it to begin with.
All I heard was, I'm not even going to ask because I'm opposed to it to begin with. But it wasn't from any of them. I think it was from the cameraman. Hey, Kardashian. I doubt we'll see the jury. They won't film the jury. You know, the last time he stood there, he was stabbing 2 people.
When you say once they are out, the jury.
Remember, they're not on their turf.
Part of it is timing. I don't know when the last group comes out, how quickly they'll be loaded on the bus. We might have to go back.
That sign says no stopping anytime. They all need to go to jail. All of them.
before the court with his counsel, Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Cochran, Mr. Douglas, Mr. Bailey, people represented by Ms. Clark, and Mr. Darden. Is Mr. Darden with us today? All right. Is he going to be back shortly?
Very shortly.
All right, well, before we resume with the jury and the witness, Robert Risky, I just want to take this opportunity to thank both the Los Angeles Police Department and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department for their efforts in coordinating our crime scene view on Sunday. I think it went amazingly well. It was a very, very smooth operation. I thought that the intrusion upon the communities was as minimal as was required under the circumstances. I appreciate the cooperation of the news media helicopters staying out of earshot as much as possible. Appreciate the cooperation of the press and not being overly aggressive. And I appreciate the patience and cooperation of counsel in accomplishing this, because I think it went like clockwork, literally. And I think it was an example of how crime scene views ought to be handled. And there were no glitches.
The court is aware that standing on the defense at the scene on Sunday, we expressed that we felt it was the essence of professionalism the way this was conducted, and we applauded all the various agencies that came together to work and show how things can really work well.
All right, counsel, anything else we need to put on the record before we invite the jurors to rejoin us? All right, Deputy Magnero, let's have the jury, please. All right, I see smiles there. Thank you. Let me thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience and cooperation during our visit to the scene on Sunday. I realize that there was a lot of waiting involved for you. However, I felt that it was very important that all of us go out there and look at these locations personally to understand the perspectives and the distances of the particular locations, and I appreciate your patience and cooperation during our visit. All right, records reflect that Robert Risky is still on the witness stand. Mr. Risky, you're advised that you are still under oath. And Mr. Cochran, you may resume your cross-examination.
Thank you very kindly. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Officer Risky. I have some additional questions for you. With regard to the dog, you saw this Akita dog while you were out there, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you know, and can you tell us what was done with the dog that particular morning?
It was taken to the animal regulations.
And was that while you were there?
Yes, sir.
And do you know who specifically that dog was turned over to at animal regulations?
No, I don't.
That is a city agency, is it not?
Yes, sir.
Do you know whether or not anyone at any time examined that animal to determine whether or not there was any evidence that he had bit anyone that night?
No, I don't.
Do you know whether or not anything was done to preserve this blood that we've heard was on the dog's paws and hind legs?
No, I don't.
Were you at the scene when this animal was turned over to someone at animal regulations?
No, I wasn't.
Do you know what time that was done?
Officer Glorioso and his partner took the dog. I don't know what time they left.
All right, so they took the dog at the scene.
That's correct.
And they then took him to some other location?
Right.
In their police car?
Yes.
Have you seen any reports of what they did with the dog and who they turned the dog over to?
No, I haven't.
And what was Glorioso's partner's name, sir? If you recall.
I believe his partner was Officer Ziegler.
Ziegler?
I believe. I'm not positive.
Okay. Now, turning our attention back to the interior of 875 Bundy, at any time, before we get to the interior, at any time that morning, did you ever go to 873, the unit just to the side of 875? Did you go toward Dorothy Street? Did you ever go over there and knock on that door, try to rouse anybody there?
Towards Dorothy would be 877.
877. Thank you very much. 877 as opposed to 873, which would be Karpf, wouldn't it? Yes. So
No, I know it was his door knocked, but I didn't do it personally, no.
all right, somebody did go to that door?
Yes.
Okay. And did you ever go to the
I think
the
you're
house
almost
that's on the
done.
corner of Dorothy and Bundy?
No, I didn't.
You did not do that yourself?
No.
All right. Now, with regard to the interior of Bundy, was anyone in charge of looking at the items or examining any items inside the interior of Bundy?
I have no knowledge of that.
We know that you were the first officer who went inside there, is that correct?
That's correct.
And in the course of your search for evidence, did you ever look at look in the trash cans inside the Bundy location?
My purpose for being in a house wasn't to search for evidence. My purpose for being in a house wasn't to search for evidence, sir.
No, I understand that, but you
Judge
told us
Ito
at some
told
point
you
that you
that.
searched in the trash cans outside and around. Remember that? And I was just asking you, did you ever search any of the trash cans inside of Bundy?
No, I didn't.
Do you know if any other officer did at all?
No, I don't.
Now, with regard to the interior location, so that I'm clear, we had a jury view on Sunday so that things may be a little clearer. If you can help us with this, what time was it that you saw this ice cream cup on this banister on June 13th in the early morning hours?
Between 12:30, 12:40 in the morning.
12:30 to 12:40. And as I understand your testimony, this ice cream cup was on the banister as you go down the steps and going out toward the garage. Is
That's
that correct?
correct.
Did you ever lift that ice cream cup up?
No, I didn't.
Could you tell from the condition of that melting ice cream as you described it, what was the flavor of the ice cream?
I have no idea.
Can you tell whether it was 1 scoop or 2 scoops or whatever?
I have no idea.
Did you ever have occasion to lift the container up?
No.
So you never saw under to whether it left a ring or anything on that counter? You never did that?
No, I didn't.
How many officers, in addition to you, that you are aware of, saw the melting ice cream cup there on that banister as you're going out the back there?
Including the detectives?
Yes, everybody that you know saw it, that you pointed out to.
5. I don't know.
All right. Well, tell us who those 5 would be, sir.
B. Oscar Wally, Detectives Furman and Phillips, and Van Adder and Lang.
All right. So all 4 of the detectives, Wally, and yourself at minimum.
That's correct.
So it'd be 6 altogether.
Altogether, yes.
And when you last saw this melting ice cream, it was still on this banister there. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
With the spoon having fallen
Asked and
down
answered,
on the
asked and
ground
answered,
right below
asked
it. Is
and
that correct?
answered,
That's
asked
correct.
and answered.
All right. Now, with regard to, while we're in that back part of the house, you described for us the other day that the Jeep was outside the residence when you arrived there. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that the right passenger door is that the right front passenger of that Jeep was open?
Yes, sir.
And in an open condition of that right front passenger door, would there be an interior light on?
The door was ajar. I don't remember if the light was on or not.
So you can't tell us one way or the other?
No.
But the door was ajar.
Right.
So in other words, if you walked over that door, could you just open it?
No.
Was it locked and ajar, or did you try to open it?
It was, I didn't try to open it, but it was closed, but not all the way. It was locked, but you couldn't open it, but it wasn't closed all the way.
All right. Do you know that it was locked?
No. It was closed. I don't know if it was locked.
It was just closed. So in other words, you didn't try to get inside there
No, I
and
didn't.
look to see if anything was inside there?
No.
And do you know whether any of the officers there looked inside the Jeep that morning?
No.
You just can tell us the door was ajar
That's correct.
and nobody ever tried it. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now,
Objection. That is not a testimony that nobody ever tried it.
nobody that you know of tried it. Is that right?
That's correct.
That's what I'm saying. All right. Now, sir, with regard to this, you described for us the other day, I believe, that you said that there was a dime and a penny in this driveway north of the Jeep.
I didn't say that, sir. I said there was change.
Change? Okay. Do you recall what the denomination of the change was?
No, I don't.
Do you recall
But
there
it's
was
a
2
jar.
dimes and 2 pennies out there?
I have no clue.
You don't have a clue? Do you recall that there was more than 2 pieces of change there?
No. I don't know.
You don't recall?
No.
Have you seen any photographs
No, I haven't.
of this since that happened?
Well, the photograph up here.
You saw the photographs here?
Yes, sir.
And the other day we had a photograph of a dime and a penny, I think.
I believe so, yes.
And do you recall there was more change than that there?
No, I don't.
Have you seen the police reports in this matter that indicated there were 2 dimes and 2 pennies?
No, I haven't.
Do you recall seeing a small blue glass heart or something on the driveway in front of the right tire of that Jeep?
No, I don't.
You don't recall seeing that?
No, I don't.
When you described for us that this photographer was taking pictures of the back area, was that part of the area they were taking pictures of, where the change was and where this heart might be?
He was taking pictures of the alley and the residence when I was there. I don't remember taking any pictures of any evidence.
While you were there, did you ever see any police officers dust this Jeep at all for any prints or anything of that nature?
No.
Did you see any criminalists while you were there look in the alleyway for any track marks or anything of that nature?
No.
You never saw that done while you were there?
No.
Now, with regard to the other part of the interior of the house, you described for us last week how you walked kind of in the plant area so you wouldn't walk through the blood. And did you get your shoes muddy, dirty doing that?
I don't think so, no.
When you went inside the house, did you track any mud or dirt inside?
No.
You sure about that?
Positive.
All right. When you went inside and you used this phone to call your superior, call that?
Yes, sir.
You told us that you saw this envelope with Mr. Simpson's name on it, return address.
That's correct.
Did you keep that envelope?
No, I didn't.
And when you described that Mr. Simpson, to your mind at that point, was somehow involved from that point forward based upon that envelope, is what you saw, is that right?
That's correct.
Now, when you went upstairs, you described for us some candles. I think you described 3 candles that you recall that were lit, is that right?
I believe there was 3, yes.
All right, do you recall any more being lit?
No.
Only the 3?
Yes.
And where were those 3?
They would be to the west of the bathtub on the counter.
West of the bathtub, and that's the bathtub in the master bedroom?
Right.
All right, guys, I got to work a double today. I got to stop at 1 hour. I got to be strict on Saturdays. We didn't used to do these at all on Saturdays. 1 hour is my limit. I got to get ready for work. Got to rest. Thank you so much for coming out. Thought we'd finish this guy today, but nope. We'll finish him tomorrow. I really appreciate you watching this with me. I will see you all again real soon. Bye, guys.